So the dreaded question for a provider, do you take health insurance? This conversation around medical insurance is very sensitive. There's a lot of different opinions around it, and I am going to give you mine in regards to what it covers, what it doesn't cover, what's in network, what's out of network, what copay is, and why some providers take insurance and why they don't, and where we headed with medical insurance. So whenever we are talking about medical insurance, we always have to keep in mind that these differ from state to state and definitely from country to country. And also keep in mind that the insurance game is constantly changing. So you have to check in with your insurance on a regular basis because they're constantly changing what they cover, how much they pay out, how many visits, etc. So right off the bat, I want to touch base with what my feelings are and my purpose around this. I want us to teach the medical community about all the things that East Asian medicine does. So not only the patient needs to learn this, but everyone needs to understand and have a better awareness of all the things that an East Asian medical provider offers in their visit. When you start to recognize all the things that we're doing in our visits, ideally, you're going to realize how absurd it is that the insurance payout is usually so little. We want to talk about two different styles of insurance. You have in-network and out-of-network. So when you have a provider that takes insurance and they say they're in-network, that means that you go, you pay your copay, and if you have coverage for acupuncture, they will either give you unlimited visits or they'll give you a certain number of visits, and all you are supposed to do is come in and pay your copay, usually $10, $15, $20, and then they are supposed to pay the provider the remaining balance of what is deserved to them. However, in-network, in my experience in California, oftentimes that means that they're getting paid $45 on top of that copay. Let me just clarify all the things that I do as a provider, and you tell me whether you think that's appropriate. So when someone comes in and I'm getting that and they have their copay, we are supposed to be including everything that goes under our scope of practice. So we don't get to code all the individual things that we do. We can code as many things as we want to do, but we're going to get capped out at a certain amount of money. And that's that. And that usually will run around $45, sometimes less, for our visit. And the East Asian provider is basically going to do all the things I mentioned in my previous podcast about what to expect. You're going to come in, you're going to do, for an initial, you're going to do a 30-minute in-depth breakdown of intake with that person, that patient. Then we are going to do sometimes up to 45 minutes front and back treatment in regards to the actual treatment. On top of that, we're doing all the assessments when it comes to not only Western medicine, but also Eastern, for tongue, pulse, all the physical assessments, any blood pressure. You're bringing lab work in. I'm going to order lab work. I'm going to observe your lab work. I'm going to talk about your diet. We're going to suggest different diet changes. We are going to look at all your medications and supplements and find things that might be interacting with each other. We are also going to give you suggestions perhaps for other supplements, dropping some, adding some. We're going to give you a customized herbal formula prescription. We are going to give you a treatment plan in regards to what to do in the future. Also included in your visit might be some sort of cupping, gua sha, moxibustion, hands-on therapy, liniments, heat therapy. These are all supposedly under that same bracket of $45. Now, for someone like myself, that's a lot of time being devoted to that patient. And in order for you to make a living at $45, or let's just say you have a $10 copay, $55, that sets the plan for you having many patients in order for you to survive. So instead of taking what might be an hour and doing a lot of extra hands-on work and really taking the time to make a good treatment plan and to do good follow-ups, you're going to put that aside and you're going to just do the needles and do an assessment, and you're going to get as many people in that hour as you can. That's kind of the model that happens, unfortunately, in a lot of our healthcare system today. And that's where it sort of pushes or funnels us into going into that model and paradigm, which is against the medicine as a whole. When you consider being out of network, that's a little bit different. When someone says they're out of network, that means that they will give you a super bill. You will have to meet your deductible. Once you meet your deductible, that could be $1,000, $1,500. Then they decide to pay a percentage of the cost of the entire treatment. In that kind of scenario, sometimes you can actually do all the codes. So oftentimes for an allopathic doctor, a medical doctor, you can code a lot of those things individually. So giving muscular education, giving stretches and exercises, going over lab work, doing your assessment, doing acupuncture, doing heat therapy, all those things for a physical therapist or a medical doctor, you can code individually and they actually pay you out individually, and there's not as much of a cap in regards to that being a set amount, like $45. So you tend to make appropriate amounts of money for your treatment, and you're actually getting paid for all the individual treatments that you're doing that are included in that visit. And so that is going to work better for us, but there is a little bit more paperwork. So after you come in, they get the super bills, we give you the super bills, and then what happens is you pay a percentage of that total cost, which could be anywhere up to 30%, 40% of the total cost, and then the provider gets reimbursed for the remaining. So just remember, when you are going in to get a treatment for the first time and your doctor says, yes, you have acupuncture visits, yes, you can get referred out, but it might be to someone that is only in network. Just understand that oftentimes you're going to see someone who's going to treat you at the bare minimum, because unfortunately that's what they're forced to do. Their hands are tied to do so, even though they want to do everything. And sometimes they can. Oftentimes these are providers that are straight out of school, and you can really get some great treatment and relief from that. So it's better than nothing at all. But I feel we have a long way to go in understanding what is the optimal visit and what it's worth. So what I tell my patients, I am a specialist, so I do a lot of extra work in regards to looking at their lab work, looking at their diet. I do fertility, I do hormonal awareness and assessments. So I am not going to put as many patients into my hour, and my time is going to be utilized, and I do cash only. So with that being said, there are other providers in my practice that take insurance, and I always tell my patients that come to me, I do understand that money is tight and you are a little wary of trying acupuncture, not sure if it's going to work. So I always say better some treatment than no treatment at all. However, I also say that if you do not get the results that you're looking for, please do not think that all acupuncture doesn't work, but just understand that maybe that's not the right provider for you, or maybe you need to consider going to a specialist or someone else that is not in your network and see if you get better results. I also want to make sure that we are aware that we want to know what your insurance covers. So once upon a time, insurance only covered for pain relief for acupuncture. Here in California, there has been a lot of growth with that, and they have been more flexible. They even have insurance covering acupuncture for fertility. So make sure you know what you're going in for. Make sure that they do cover what you are going in to be treated. If you are pregnant, sometimes insurance won't cover acupuncture if you're pregnant. If you're going in for fertility, they might not cover it for fertility. So just be clear what you're going in for and make sure that your insurance covers it. So that is my quick take on insurance or no insurance. My overall catch here is that A, some acupuncture is better than nothing. B, really pay attention to in-network and out-of-network. C, if you have anything really difficult to treat, i.e., let's just say you have Lyme disease, for example. That is a specialty. You are going to go to someone who specializes in that. You're going to get better results. They might not take insurance, but at the same token, you get what you pay for. Finally, if you're going to go out of network, just understand that all those things should be included in your treatment. And the final thing I just want to say is just the commentary around insurance. I am grateful that we have coverage for insurance for our patients, and I am grateful that it's covering more and more. Overall, I know that we are just in the beginnings in regards to insurance and how it's helping us practitioners in integrative medicine. And we have come a long way in the fact that they are covering any treatments at all. So I want to say shout out to that, grateful for that. However, we have a long way to go in educating the system into what we're doing and what it's worth. We are a primary asset to preventative healthcare. We are responsible for catching things before they get out of hand. We help people stay in alignment and stay balanced and stay well so that they don't get into a crisis situation, which is valuable. And right now, what we're getting paid for is not really what we should be paying for. However, I am grateful for the providers out there that are able to take some insurance and that people are getting treatment rather than no treatment at all.
Thank you for listening and being a part of the conversation today. If you enjoyed it, please like us or leave a comment in the comment section. We would love your feedback, and we are open to topics that you would like to discuss. And better yet, if you know anyone that may benefit from this information, either they're suffering, they're in pain, or they're just curious about trying this medicine but they don't like needles, please share this podcast. As I always say, wellness is as contagious as the flu.